This is not about some expensive, politically correct green act of bunny hugging or blah, blah, blah. Build back better, blah, blah, blah. Green economy, blah, blah, blah. Net zero by 2050, blah, blah, blah. Net zero by 2050, blah, blah, blah. Net zero, blah, blah, blah. Climate neutral, blah, blah, blah. This is all we hear from our so-called leaders. Words. Words that sound great, but so far has led to no action. Our hopes and dreams drown in their empty words and promises.
We find ourselves yet again talking about Greta. I didn't expect that I would make 2 consecutive videos about her, but you know what? To me it's a little bit refreshing because I'm really bored talking about the pandemic. And now it seems that they're planning to make a little bit of a switcheroo. They stopped scaring people with the pandemic, so now they try to switch it with the climate emergency. Very interesting. You know, a lot of people point out that no matter what Greta says, people are going to clap. And apparently she can say blah, 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 and people clap. It's like, oh, the government is saying blah, 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 and blah, 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 and everyone is cheering. Why are you cheering? I mean, she's saying that politicians are lying to you. She is saying that all the people in power don't take the situation seriously. You're all going to die in a couple of years. The earth is burning. Your house is on fire. No one cares. And they're cheering. Why is it that cheerful? Reminds me of the previous speech that she gave when she went in front of world politicians and she was like, how dare you? You stole my childhood. You stole this from me. I shouldn't be up here. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. The birds are croaking. A bug lost its antenna. And you have too much money. And you have too much freedom. And the government is too weak. We need to make government strong. Put taxes. Give money to Sky Daddy. And everyone was cheering and clapping. It's like, what is wrong with you people? She's insulting you. Like, I've never seen in my life someone getting insulted by another person and the reaction is cheering and clapping. When you're insulted, you either try to ignore the person or you get angry. You don't cheer and clap. That's the uncanny valley. Like, she's in front of a stage, smiling, while talking about the incoming apocalypse. Something doesn't add up. It's very similar to how Obama has a mansion next to the ocean. It's like, aren't the water levels going to rise? Isn't the housing price going to go down? Like, why isn't Obama selling now and buying a house in the Himalayas? It's a good question. Huh? Can we ask that question? No, it's a war on noticing. You're not allowed to notice these things. But what I find interesting is that when you look at the members of the audience, it's a couple of bourgeoisie twats. You see, the modern left will say that it's a very diverse audience, but it's so diverse that I couldn't find a single farmer, a single plumber, a single unemployed person. Like, all of them look very educated. They look very well dressed. And this is not just at this event. It's at all the events. And you may say, well, V, how do you know they're not farmers? Why do you assume? Because I'm good at stereotyping, goddammit. If stereotyping is wrong, why am I always so right? When it comes to stereotyping, I'm stereotype level master. I can only talk like 5 seconds with a person and I can immediately tell if I have something in common with that guy or not. I immediately put him in a box. Because I'm a very busy person and I don't have time to waste. So my brain has figured out a system that within only a couple of seconds I can tell if a person is worthy of my time or not. Imagine the alternative where I would have to spend at least 10 minutes with every different person in order to ask the question. I would go insane. So that's why I'm the best stereotyper in the world. And the left, progressive people are looking at me with envy and hatred. And because they go like, oh, we can't stereotype like V does, they think stereotypes don't exist. They lie to themselves. Every time a progressive speaks, he lies. And when a progressive shuts up, he lies to himself. So that's how I know there aren't any farmers there. They don't look like they're from all of walks of life. as they like to say. None of them seems to be sporting the attire that's more fashionable in the ghettos. Not a single person there, right? Why? Aren't the people in the ghettos being affected by the climate change? Why aren't they there? Not a single person. What is the representation? So that's one of the biggest criticisms that I have. It's like, why aren't the poor people supporting? Secondly, why is everyone clapping? Because she's lying to people. She is outright lying to people. What does she mean? It's just blah, blah, blah. If you look at the UK, there's a gas shortage right now. How can people pollute if there's no gas, Greta? Think, Greta, think. Come on, Greta, think. How can they pollute if there's no gas? Same in France when you had the yellow vests and they were rioting and destroying Paris. It was kind of hard to drive a car. There were too many protesters. You couldn't drive. So, no, like clearly, it's working. You're doing a good job, Greta. By the way, anyone that tells me that because of Brexit, you don't have truckers in the UK, clearly doesn't understand politics. Like, you're telling me that in a country with more than 50 million people, you don't have enough people who want to be truckers. So everyone in the UK are doctors, lawyers, engineers, politicians, and they look down on the trucking profession. Is that it? Like, no one wants to be a trucker? Do you know the biggest problem with truckers in the UK? There's a lot of regulations. It's the same in California now, actually. It's a lot of new regulations where your truck needs to be up to standards to make sure that it doesn't pollute. So if you happen to have an old truck, if you happen to have like a truck from 30, 40 years ago, might not fit with the new climate agenda, with the Build Back Better. And that's why they do, well, not the only reason, but one of the reasons. Another reason is that corporations are greedy and they don't want to train new truckers. And then you have the lockdowns to save grandma. The lockdowns, which were really amazing. I bet Greta loves them. The United Nations love them. They love them so much they want to make climate lockdowns now. They're good for the environment. Locking people up is good for Sky Daddy. So, I know that truckers were essential, because they were. But due to the lockdowns, you had drivers unable to take the exam on time. I'm in the same situation, by the way, in Romania. Normally, you should be able to take an exam once every month. But because of the lockdown, it messed with the logistics. And I could only take an exam in January, and the next exam that I'm taking is in November. So before, people that failed the driving exam could take it again the next month. Now they have to wait sometimes 10, 11 months. And this is everywhere, by the way. The UK is probably worse because they had more of the lockdowns. They loved the one so much they got stuck in a time loop. 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and by the end of the second week, they got back into day one. And that's another reason. So corporations just flat out refuse to hire because they know that eventually the government is going to open the borders and get people from my country so that we don't have truckers. In other words, you're just taking truckers from another place. The shortage remains. It's just you're bringing the shortage into Eastern Europe by taking our truckers. That's what they're doing. You know, like, it's fine. It's fine. Who cares? No, the gas prices are going up. Electric bills are going up. Part of it is because of the climate credits. That's one of the reasons. Now, it's not blah, blah, blah. But they don't want to say that because then people will ask, like, hold on a little bit. Why is the gas going more expensive? And they might look into it. Apparently, Romania has a commission now. They have a commission in order to figure out why the gas prices went up. Unironically, I'm not kidding. You know why they have a commission? So they can figure out by 2030. And until then, you can ask, it's like, why did the gas prices go up? It's like, oh, there's a commission looking into it. We're going to come back to you when they find, okay, yeah. That's how politics work. You're not, but like, what's really funny and interesting is that no one is pointing this up. You know, the real question is, where do the money go? Like, okay, so you have more expensive gas because of the extra tax on it, right? To not pollute. Where does the money go? Does it go to plant more trees? Does it go to develop new power like fusion? No. Apparently, all of it goes to the budget. In fact, there was a Romanian politician which actually said that taxing pollution is a good thing because we get more money to the budget. So for them, it's just an excuse. In other words, politicians get to waste money, and then when they realize, oh shit, we don't have money to pay pensions, we don't have money for healthcare, we don't have money for universities, oh shit, oh, let's tax gas. You know, you can avoid paying taxes like the rich do, like Jeff Bezos. There's many legal ways that they figure out on how to find various loopholes. You can't avoid paying the gas tax now, can you? You can be a person that's unemployed and doesn't work and still has money from welfare and still has to pay the gas tax. Everyone has to pay the gas tax. You can run away from the IRS, but you can't run away from the gas bill now, can you? So that's one of the main reasons why it's tax. And people on the left, they're criticizing, oh, we need to tax the rich. They're never criticizing the way the government wastes money. Yes, they're really good at seizing the wealth. Seizing is where they're experts. Redistributing is where they're shit at. And I mentioned before, the thing with Greta is like, if she wants to get more people on her side, because at this point the awareness is raised, like people already are either on one side of the issue or another. If you have more people on her side, why isn't she doing debates? Why isn't she getting a person that's advocating for nuclear power? Why isn't she getting a person that's criticizing the fact that all the carbon money goes to the government? And by the way, let me tell you some other clusterfuck. Carbon is actually used in many industries. It's used in the pharmaceutical industry, but more importantly, it's used in the meat industry. They use it to stun the pigs before they slaughter them, to make the slaughtering more humane. And because there's a carbon shortage now, as companies that were producing it, usually as a derivative from fertilizer, were shutting down because of lack of profitability. Imagine having lack of profitability during a shortage. In what world does this happen? Imagine Pfizer going bankrupt right now. That's pretty much the level of insanity we're talking about. You have farmers with pigs that they can't sacrifice, they can't starve them to death because, again, animal laws, right? Like animal cruelty. So what do the farmers do? Like, there's an actual crisis. They just have pigs over there and they're stuck. And the debts are rising. They still have to pay utilities. They still have to pay their creditors. They still have to run a business. And they can't slaughter the pig, and it's a big issue. Probably also because of Brexit. If it wasn't for Brexit, they would probably sell those pigs to Romania so they can slaughter them here. Well, not necessarily Romania, but they would probably send them to Eastern Europe or something. And they send the pigs here, they slaughter them here, and then we send the meat back. And then when the British person buys the pork from the supermarket, it costs extra. Because I guarantee to you, here in Eastern Europe, we would find a way. There's always a way in Eastern Europe, even if there's no carbon. If a pig requires to be slaughtered, it would be slaughtered. Don't ask how. I don't know either. The farmers there, they're making some magical voodoo shit. I know there's EU regulations telling you about humane slaughtering, but when there's a crisis, the farmers figure out, very smart people. Again, they're not sharing their wisdom, but it usually gets done. But no one talks about these things. It's like it's a mystery. It's shrouded in mystery, and I think it's on purpose. Because if people knew about these things, they would complain a little bit. It's like, hold on a little bit. Like, the government is making my life harder? Yes. Absolutely it is. Through senseless regulation. Let me give you another example. In Romania, there's now parking spaces for green cars. The problem is there aren't any green cars yet in my town, not that I'm aware of, because you don't have places to charge the car. So even if I were to buy a Tesla, there wouldn't be any place that I could charge it. So you now have these parking places where it's illegal to park, because it's for the environment or whatever. And what do people do? Well, if they can't park, they start doing the merry-go-round around the shopping mall, trying to find a parking place. So now they're like spinning around and around, waiting to find a parking spot. And that pollutes more than if they would have just filled the spot when they found it. So the only reason that there are quote-unquote green parking spaces for eco cars is so that the government can have a reason to tow your car if you parked it there. And then you get to pay a fine. It's one way that the government takes more monies from you. It's like when they're not fed up with the amount of taxes that you give them, they put indirect taxes, you pay those as well, and now it finds way to fine you. So you can take even more money. Wow, why is the solution for global warming benefiting the government? Always. Every single time, there's no solution that doesn't benefit the government. Did you notice that? Yeah. I'm a little bit disappointed in humanity, I suppose. The fact that people aren't thinking for themselves anymore, the fact that you can literally have a person with a cult of personality going blah, 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 and people are cheering and clapping. No one is asking. It's like, hold on a little bit. Is she actually saying that for herself, or is someone writing her speeches? Yeah, but she can actually say blah, blah, blah. She can burp in the microphone and people will clap at this point. And one of the reasons is that there is no feedback. I mean, the comments have disabilities everywhere she's at. And it went to the point where it caused a scandal in Romania, because there was like this bookstore guy who complained on Facebook that people were putting her book, Greta's book, they were putting it next to the Gulag Archipelago. So he goes on Facebook and he whines about it. And now people were doing it in various libraries because it went popular. So what he does is like, all right, he ties the book in a place so people can't take it. And then people figured out, okay, well, if we can't move Greta's book, we're going to bring the Gulag Archipelago to the book. If the mountain doesn't go to Muhammad, you know? Like, people, at least here in Romania, don't like her. If you look at the Guardian article, people apparently in her town don't like her. And this is not me saying it, it's in the Guardian article. I actually read it on my live stream. If you haven't seen my live stream, I strongly suggest you do, because it's very funny going through that article. But basically, like, her father says that no one in the town stops her for an interview. No one in the town wants an autograph. And they talk about how they went to this big event, this climate change thing, and that there was a big poster of her. And she was there, and no one even looked at her. No one even noticed her. And then eventually a guy with an iPad comes up, and he was like, all right, here we go. Now is the autograph time. And the person just wanted some feedback for the event. And I think it's because most people know. Like, most people are in the know that there are handlers behind her, that there is no way a random kid can end up speaking with world leaders and meeting famous actors. I mean, why don't you meet famous world leaders and actors? I'm pretty sure, like, if you, when you were a kid, if you skipped school, you had the opportunity of going to the UN, right? That doesn't happen, ever. That's a fairy tale. That's something that you only hear from authoritarian dictators when they write their biography. Probably when Kim Jong-un was born, the birds started speaking, and magic happened, and the sky shat a rainbow and whatnot. You know, like that's the only time you hear about fantastic things. And it's the same with Greta. Like, one day she went out there and she started striking and she protested and she didn't go to school and someone just happened to notice her and all of a sudden she's speaking at the UN. Get the fuck out. Just how dumb do you need to be? At least stop lying to people. So yeah, you know, like, that's why she doesn't get any attention, because the only thing people want from her is clout. You know, Arnold Schwarzenegger takes her, takes a picture, click, and all of a sudden his PR goes up. And that's it. That's the extent of the relationship. Like, pictures with Greta. It's like when I was at my wedding, everyone wanted the picture with the monkey, is what I would call it. It's like they would bring me over there, the groom, and they would just take pictures with me. It was very stressful and annoying. I gotta get why Greta isn't smiling that much. She's probably annoyed by all of this. The only time she's smiling is when she's talking about the end of the world. That's when she's happy. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Like I never see. Although I gotta say, another thing which someone pointed out, and I think they're right. When she spoke with Trump, she said something like, "I don't think you and I are going to get along, Mr. President." And I was like, well, that's kind of polite. What happened with, "How dare you? You're ruining my channel." It's like, oh, there's a difference in speech, huh? Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.